There's hope. There is hope. Okay, everyone, let's stay in this space. It's been 2 months. I know. There's like no leads. I know. They've investigated. They've been looking at it, but there is hope, and there's hope for many reasons. And we're talking, of course, about the mysterious disappearance of Sebastian Rogers, this young guy with autism who seemingly just vanished. And it's one of these cases that is frustrating people. It's a case that has people pointing fingers everywhere. But the bottom line is there is hope. And I want to start the show off, this Tangent podcast, why I believe there's an even greater chance of hope here. Because yes, there have been strange stories and unbelievable cases, but this is a recent story I came across, and it's from this year. Out of Arizona, 13-year-old with autism vanishes, similar to this. 3 weeks later, found 200 miles away from home. 200 miles away from home. So while in this story, in this case with Sebastian, we know they've searched the grid immediately around his home, the grid is much wider. And this story gives me hope. And this teenager was 13 years old and was found. So that's the way I am approaching this. That's the way I feel today. Welcome to the Tangent Podcast. I'm Vinny Politan. With me, Al Wunsch and Glenn Jones. The three of us worked at Court TV Radio for years on Sirius XM. That's where we first worked together. We knew each other, but then we worked together, and this is sort of our reunion in all of that. Great to see you guys today.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, of course, as always. And I do like the theme of hope.
Yes.
Because that's important, but it's also the hardest part of dealing with a missing person is, you've got to have hope at all times. And as the days click on, it's very, very difficult to keep hope. And it's scary. I mean, I don't think there's anything worse than not knowing what happened to a loved one. I mean, if you've got closure, that's one thing, but there's never closure in a missing persons case. And, we go forward and we look, into these things that have happened throughout our history, and the list of missing people, is quite large. And they leave behind loved ones that have no solace, no ability to know what happened, sitting there just hoping that there's going to be a knock on the door and that person comes back. And that's just a horrific burden on everyone. Just tragic.
Not only is 200 miles a lot to travel, but how does a child of 13 with presumably no money in his pocket feed himself, for that matter?
For 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
For 3 weeks. So this gives me hope. And he's been described, Sebastian, by his parents as a child with autism, but high functioning. So he obviously can communicate. He can speak. We've heard him on video. So I think he's even more able than this 13-year-old who was nonverbal, was 2 years younger and nonverbal. He's 2 years older and can speak. So being out there, he can, there's the human nature to survive, right? There's inside all of us, the survival mode, no matter who you are, how old you are. So I'm going to think about that, and I'm going to hope that the survival instincts that humans have are part of the DNA of Sebastian at this point.
Can only hope. I mean, it's a horrific scenario, and I mean, we also have Caleb Harris, a student out of Texas, who's I believe 18 years of age, and he just disappeared at, out of nowhere. Went back to his room, ordered food. The food's there, he's gone. And you see the parents on that situation just agonizing on where things have to go, what they're doing. There's a $25,000 reward for any information on him, and he's been missing since March 4th. So it's just horrible. But one thing that with this case that I'm happy to see is that their parents. It's a divorce. They're not married. The mother and the birth mother and the father are not married anymore. They're not together. But it's nice to see that they are uniting to deal with this issue.
Yes.
There's no finger pointing, and there's no suspicion or anything along those lines. That they are unified with one sole purpose, and that's to get their child back, and that's great. That's very, very uplifting and very important.
And that's the latest development, Jonesy, right? You're talking about. I mean, it was a bitter breakup between his parents. There were accusations flying, but the ability to put everything aside to find your child is really the only approach you can have at this point, John.
I would think that, no matter how bad your relationship is, I would think in times like that, like most decent people would get together and try to like solve the issue at hand as opposed to infighting. But maybe I'm wrong.
This is right. This is Seth and Chris. So Chris is the stepfather. He's the one back to us, and then Seth is his father there. And this was a image that was taken at the vigil over the weekend.
It looks like a confrontation.
Right. That's what a lot of people were saying. But afterwards, I think that's just capturing, a moment, because it looks like a confrontation.
It really does.
But subsequent to that, Seth Rogers said, yeah, we've decided to put our differences aside. So I don't think the differences disappear, but to put them aside is a step in the right direction. And here it looks a little less confrontational. It looks like a conversation now. So I think it's camera angle too.
Yeah. I see a little, I can see a little confrontation in that, but it's hard to tell in a still.
Right. Yeah. You can take like moving pictures and grab a still out of it and make people look like they're doing something that they're not doing also. Like that's been done to me.
It looks like me.
He does look a little bit like you.
It's just like at the end of the Court TV show, that at the end of the show that you guys do together when you put images on people's heads, right?
So there's an image of me online where I have my hand like this. I was giving a speech at I think the University of Delaware Law School, and someone snapped a picture like this online, and it's some sign for some what do they call those people? The secret society, Al. What is it's one of
like Freemasons?
Yeah. I think it's like the Freemasons or something like that. People think I'm giving some sign or something the way my hand is. And I'm like, I can't be it, because when I speak with my hands, and I was probably saying blah, blah, blah. And then I did this. And that's when he snapped the picture. So it looks like I'm a Freemason now.
And sadly, there are a lot of people out there that believe that you were giving a sign.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to convince my son.
No.
I'm on TV, I said, no. Let me lay this out for you. What was really happening here. But
how is it being a Freemason, Ben?
I don't know what they do.
Nobody knows.
Where do they meet, and how many of them are there?
They meet at they have a temple that they meet.
Yeah.
At.
They're generally historically beautiful buildings.
So, but are they real people, and are they controlling the world, or what's their deal?
I mean, there are a lot of powerful people that are Freemasons, and most of our founding fathers were associated with the Freemasons. So it is a very, very long-lasting society that's still around. My uncle was a Freemason. My great uncle, I should say, was a Freemason.
He was. Do they get the Amex black cards, the Freemasons?
This was like pre-Amex Black, so It wasn't that. But on the topic of Amex cards, what was interesting to me, and I mean, talk about going off on a tangent. For those of you who've complained about that, um, Neil Armstrong is the only person that did not have to sign any of his Amex receipts.
Who?
Why?
Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon. And he had an Amex card, a special designed Amex card, because what would happen was people were always looking for his autograph.
Yes.
And so his card you did not have to sign.
That's
And
interesting.
also there's something interesting is that any of the 12 astronauts that have been on the moon were, if they were on an airplane that was, they were diverting the planes because of weather or some other situation, they got special permission to land at that airport regardless.
Wow.
That's another impressive thing. So like if
Why
the
would-
airport
why
is
would that
closing
be?
or something like that, or even past curfew, if they're on the plane, they're allowed the special privilege of landing at wherever, JFK or Newark or whatever.
What would be the reasoning behind that?
I don't know.
It's crazy. It's
2
kind of
months.
Crazy.
but
Janice, thank you. 2 months missing. Chances are slim to none. Janice is losing hope here. I'm not. I am more hopeful today than I was a couple days ago. One, because the families apparently working together to some degree. Seth is looking and hiring some private investigators. And I think the investigators who are working the case are working the case. I think the key, though, like a 13-year-old 200 miles away from home is found. Now it's incumbent on everyone in social media, everyone who's watching now, to clip a picture of Sebastian and share it. You probably already have, but do it again. Because while they're looking like a 5-mile radius or a 10-mile radius, I think the radius after 2 months is much larger if he wandered off. And there's no evidence of anything happening other than him perhaps wandering off somewhere. I mean, there's no evidence of foul play anywhere. So it seems to me that's where you have to have that approach as a family member, right? To keep up hope. But I also think as investigators is spreading his picture everywhere.
Picture or not, though, wouldn't you think that anybody coming across a child like that alone would approach,
without shoes too,
Without
right? He
shoes?
didn't have his shoes on.
would approach and try to help and guide?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Depends on where you are.
I mean,
Like if you're in New York, nobody's going to help you, right? If you're in a city, no one might help you. You might be in another place where people are just afraid to approach you. I think it depends upon where he ends up, and is he avoiding interaction with people as well, because that's part of his condition as well.
Yeah.
The social interaction part of it.
Yeah.
Can I say a special shout out to Jennifer Sube, who so nice to me, and I do appreciate her wonderful comments. Of course, Vinny never puts those up about me. It's always
I gotta find them. They go by very quickly.
And hi to Melly for her wonderful comments. Also appreciate that.
Melly today. Hello to the amazing Vinny, Al, and Jonesy. And
very,
she's
very
special.
right.
Hello, Melly.
Melly, very, very nice. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Well,
thank you for that too.
The comments go by very quickly, so I can't get all of them. We're over.
It's funny. That's really interesting. Okay, that you can't get all of them. Yet everyone that mentions your blue eyes, how good looking you are, how sweet you are, how important, how much of a Freemason you are, those you seem to be able to find quite quickly.
Okay, we've got over 2,200 right now, by the way. Over 2,200 folks watching right here, right now. So thank you so much, folks. Please hit the like. It helps spread the tangent all over the place. Hey, Jacelyn Martindale, that's what I'm saying. If a mom was innocent, she'd be going crazy and not running off. She'd be out looking everywhere like Seth. So what is transpired here is that Chris Proudfoot, stepdad, has to get back to work, and he works remotely. Like he'll go to places. I think he works like those big cranes and machines like that. Good, tough work. And his wife, Sebastian's mom, left the home to be with him out of town. I heard her say that she's in contact with law enforcement each and every day, but she's fallen under some criticism by a lot of folks because she's not out there looking and staying like Dad Seth Rogers is. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are there. I mean, should she be home alone in that house? She has faced a lot of criticism. And you know what happens when a story goes viral like this and there's criticism? There are people who are a little, off the wires a little bit. That could be somewhat dangerous.
Well,
do you want to be alone in that home? Do you want to be there in case he shows up?
in regard,
that's a problem. I think that she was not there. I mean, you would think that would be the one thing she'd say. Listen, what if he comes back in the dead of night? I mean, I want to be here. Leave the candle burning in the window. Something along those lines. That tie the yellow ribbon around the old oak tree. I mean, I would want to be
Tony Orlando and Dawn.
I would not expect. If my husband or my wife would not. I don't think they would expect that I'd go with them on a job, okay, while the kid's missing. I think that she did need to stay home. But you know what? I mean, people react different ways to different things, and the search has been done. They have gone around. They haven't found it. They haven't. There's no sign of foul play. So I mean, I don't know if I want to blame her because I don't know how I would react under the circumstances. But I do.
Well, how about this though? Like, and she was in the military, so I know she can take care of herself. But still,
Right.
To be in that home alone, right? So you're there alone. This is a super high profile case. If she goes on social media, she's going to read a lot of negativity, and some people take it to the next level, right? Some people take it to the next level, unfortunately, right? I can't judge people. I can give my opinions about what they say makes sense, if it's consistent with other independent facts. But I can't put myself in those shoes of, would I be afraid? Would I want my wife home alone under those circumstances as well?
Look, then it's very easy for her to have a friend stay over, and I'm sure that people have volunteered to say, "Listen, I'll stay with you," or something.
That's a great solution, right? So family members come over, a sister,
Exactly.
a mother, an aunt, a cousin, somebody, and you take turns. Okay,
Right.
I got you there.
I mean, so I mean, I don't think that that's necessarily the right thing, but
would you invite Jonesy to stay at your house?
any opportunity I have would be to invite him. Okay. The problem is that he comes, he wants to stay for 3 months. But
I picture Jonesy coming through your door like Kramer and going, "What do you got in the fridge?" Right?
I'm more like John Belushi, the guest that wouldn't leave.
with a steamer trunk, just like pulling that in over the steps to get into my house
with all of my props.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I always respect a good prop comic. I always do. But even though they're considered to be hacked in the business.
Shout out to Gen X, our what do we call them again? I'm new at this. What do we call our moderator? So we call them mods. That's the word.
Like the mod squad?
Yeah, our mod squad. Gen X and Frankie Fig.
Gen X.
I'm Link.
Oh man.
Look at this.
Well, Vinny, you're obviously Michael Cole, because he was the good-looking one.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I thought he was.
Which makes me Peggy Lipton.
Peggy Lipton, yeah.
Flower Power. This is interesting. Flower Power saying that Freemasons have information and access to finding people.
Well, I would buy that because they have a lineage of members that we know nothing about.
It may not have been a Freemason. Maybe they thought I was an Illuminati. What's an Illuminati? Is that like a Freemason?
No. That is another type of society that like they all meet in a basement somewhere and decide what's going to happen with the world. They're the ones who know what happened.
I think this was my Illuminati. Might have been my Illuminati pose. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll find the picture and I'll put it up for you guys. Go ahead, chat among yourselves.
Okay. Well, let's start with some history of missing persons in America. Okay, so I always like to throw that kind of thing out there. And first of all, and also let's say Happy Passover to our Jewish friends that are
Yes.
tuning in. But then the first missing persons case in the Americas, 1587. 1587, a little colony called Roanoke just disappeared. All the residents and the people that lived there gone. No clue as to where they went. Nothing. There is a word inscribed on a tree that says Croatan, okay, which may or may not have been referring to Indians that lived in the area, that maybe they're the ones that had taken these people. But to this day, no one has been able to determine where Virginia Dare and the rest of the residents of the Roanoke colony, where they disappeared to. And so that's the first big missing persons case out of the Americas. And of course, we weren't America yet. We weren't the United States yet, but we were certainly the Americas. And then right after that, the Jamestown colony came up, and no one disappeared from there. But so Roanoke is the first big mystery for missing persons in America. But when I see the Sebastian case, it brings me back, and hopefully it won't be the same outcome, to like Eton Pates.
Oh gosh, I remember that very, very, very well.
That was during the Reagan era in the '80s, early '80s, if I'm not mistaken, and he was the first young child that was put on a milk cart.
Right.
Well, also, when I first started going to New York City, living in New Jersey, not far from there, Manhattan, I should say, posters were plastered everywhere of Eton Pates, who had lived in the East Village of New York City and had gone missing on his way to school one day. And it was quite a heavy story that lasted with me forever, because I was like, I was pretty young, and here I am in New York City, like looking at these like signs on every pole, looking for this missing child, Eton Pates.
By the way, just want to make a note. I believe someone said that Sebastian's dad is in the chat, so he's watching. So our thoughts are with you, Seth.
And prayers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Prayers.
Spreading the word. I want to say hi to Rahat Dana. Rahat Dana. All the hearts are for VP and all the victims and the families. And thank you so much. Here's the announcement. From every 26 seconds, Seth is in our chat right now. And again, can't imagine, I unfortunately, through the work that I've done through the years, I've spoken with so many families and fathers and mothers at different stages of this. Sometimes it's after a trial. Sometimes it's while a child is missing, like we are here. And the one common denominator that I put in what you see and what you feel is, and this is really from the dads, okay, that I've spoken to, and it's just because these are the ones that stick to me because of the relatability, right? Is the relentless pursuit to find your child. And I always mention this one story. There was a little girl missing in Missouri, and her dad was out there searching. This was pretty early on in all of it. And, he wanted to do the appearance on the show, but he's also searching for his child. So we said, can you get to a phone? So I get him on the phone, and there's this noise in the background. I'm well, where are you? He was on an ATV searching for his daughter and speaking to us to keep the word out and get her face and her image, out there, so people would know and people would be aware. And what you hear in the voice and what you see in the eyes, if you see them here, I didn't see him. I didn't have to see him. I could hear him. And that desperation, that love, and that the relentless strength that a father has, and moms have it too. But I'm talking about specific case here that you could hear and in his voice, and you speak to other parents, you see it in their eyes. And also one other, and I don't want to take up all the talk time here, but there was one other instance where I spoke with a father whose child had been taken out of their home. And I think this was probably during the Elizabeth Smart mystery, and people were questioning the parents there. They were questioning the father, and someone had broken into the home and kidnapped her. And he said, "Yeah, it can happen. It can happen because it happened to me." And when I spoke to him, and you could tell what it did to him and how it shaped the rest of his life, and how he always kept up hope. Because when he had that appearance, they did one of those artist renderings, what his child would look like. Because his child was a baby. And anytime a baby is taken, you think that someone is raising that child. That's, and what the baby would look like, it was 15 years later, whatever it was. And it's just different. It's just different, and it's real. And that's why I think it's important to hear from the families, to make it real for the folks out there, so they take a moment and pay attention and say, this is real. This isn't a TV show. This isn't something that's made up. There's a real child that's missing, and let's just take a moment, register what his face looks like. If we see anything, we pick up the phone, we make the call.
If one of the comments was what happened with Eton Pates. There was a trial in the case, and the individual was acquitted, and then there was never a retrial after that. So we still don't know, who murdered Eton.
Well, it was in my old neighborhood, and that all came about like decades after the fact, when they were digging up a basement apartment near me, and the rumor had flown, and then it was on the news that they had suspected that Eton Pates may have been taken by the janitor, I believe it is, in the building, and that the remains may have been disposed of in the boiler room.
I mean, there's a number of suspects that they had. I mean, he was walking, I believe, to school, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he stopped at a candy store or something like that, where they all knew him. It's like a neighborhood.
But missing person cases, as I said when we started off the hour, are horrible, and they're just the longing and just that angst of not knowing what happened is one thing. But when it's a missing persons case involving a child, I think it's 10 times worse. I really do. I just think it is so. I mean, like, as a result of looking into this story, I started looking into some other ones, and then you see about this case about the Beaumont children out in Australia, that like 3 children disappear from a house. Three children disappears. I believe it was 1966, if I'm not mistaken. And 3 children disappear, and never found again. No one knows where they are. They assume that they were abducted and murdered.
3 children, it has to be foul play. It's if one wanted 3 children are, what I mean? That's, to me, that's impossible. That's like when we were covering the story out in the Bakersfield area, Cal City, California. There were the twins. They weren't twins, they were brothers, and they had been adopted, and they both vanished. No, it doesn't work that way. It just
couldn't one child follow the other?
Yeah, but not in this area. It was like everyone had a surveillance camera on their home. It was at dusk, but they apparently disappeared when it was still light out. No, that didn't happen. And eventually, the adoptive parents were the ones who were convicted.
So, what was the outcome of this 1966 3 children? Al?
Never found.
No.
Never found. I mean, they're assuming that there was an abduction and a murder. Well, they obviously were abducted, and they're assuming murder, but they were never found. I mean, like it's stories like this that just wrench your heart out. I mean, it's just horrible to have to be living with that. How these things just happen. I mean, remember the what was it, Madeline McCann?
Yeah,
Um,
Madeline
you know,
McCann overseas.
right, in Spain, if I'm not mistaken, or whatever, the English girl. I mean, probably one of the most. I mean, that case went around the world. I mean, there was just everything was being locked on that. Another case.
And those parents faced a lot as well. And that was a little bit earlier. It wasn't, social media at that point wasn't where it is now. But they felt it as well. And think about being in that position. You're a parent of a missing child, and not only are you facing, the worst case scenario, your child is missing, now you're being attacked at the same time. So it's tough. It's tough. Danielle is asking, is Seth here? That's what someone reported. The live chat's moving by so quick, I haven't been able to spot his any comment. But if he is here, I'm sure everyone is being very, very welcoming. Lariah, thank you so much, Lariah. Great to see you smiling today. Awesome.
Hello, Lariah.
Lariah. I've never heard that name before. Have you heard that name before, Lariah? I have not heard that name. No, I've heard of Mariah Carey. Tommy Mottola's gal.
I know.
Tommy Mottola lives on the road.
Yeah. So Sandy is saying that a neighbor of Quentin Simons couldn't stand the media noise abusers 24/7, even with hubby. We left. Katie needed to, and we were around the corner down the road. So there you go. Sandy Shirley describing what happened in the case of little Quentin Simon, who went missing, and people showed up in the neighborhood, and some people were doing things that they shouldn't have done while they were in the neighborhood, causing problems for the neighbors. But Quentin Simon's mother has been charged in that one. So thank you so much, Sandy. Appreciate it.
It's just, and sometimes people can be so cruel with, sending out, I've seen them when they haven't, or something like, false clues. I mean, I was reading about the Tara Calico case, where this, beautiful young lady disappears, and then like a year later, a Polaroid shows up with her, taped bound and in a, looking like in a trunk or something with another boy. And I mean, just that torture that they were doing to the parents is just horrendous. I mean, take a look at that Tara Calico, Calico, unsolved disappearance. And then a year later, a Polaroid appears that they found on the floor by a gas station.
A Polaroid?
A Polaroid picture, yeah. It's a horrendous case. Just
Don't forget his photo album.
It's back in 1988.
Nice. Do you have to wave the print to make it?
To dry it off. Absolutely. I got a Polaroid. I don't know why I have this, but I do. I have a lot of things I don't know why I have. I'm a little bit of a hoarder.
Shake that thing like a Polaroid.
Again, Al, just so you know, a lot of hearts for VP. I think that's me, right?
No. Well, if it's VIP, it's me.
Yeah.
All right. And you know what? And there was another case that I was taking a look at in 1992 where a mother, daughter, and friend disappeared. 19-year-old daughter, 47-year-old mother, and 18-year-old friend.
That's automatically foul play. That's automatically foul play. There's no
Streeter,
other explanation, right?
Cheryl Levitt and Stacy McCall disappeared from Springfield, Missouri. It's just remarkable. I mean, and they don't know where these people are.
There's a lot of unsolved. There's a ton of unsolved. I think one thing that has happened though with DNA, etc., some of those older cases, and they find remains, sometimes they can put the story together. But I've covered a bunch of these unsolved mysteries on my show on Court TV, every night, 8 to 10. And it really, you're like, how could this happen? How could this case not be solved? And there's cases with actual clues and evidence and things left behind, and they can't solve it. Here, there was nothing. There's nothing. Like in some cases, there's like, oh, a video. Someone was spotted at a certain time somewhere, or there's a broken door, an open window, but we've heard nothing about anything that would indicate one thing or the other. Just we've heard that there is no evidence of foul play. No, there are no foul play is not suspected. I got to think that you keep an open mind to foul play at this point, but it's like you're almost working from nowhere. Now, at one point, they were apparently able to use some dogs to track a scent that went around the house, around the back, and ended up near a like a drainage kind of pond, and they drained it, and there was nothing in there. And I'm wondering if the scent leads to water and then sort of ends, and you drain the water and there's nothing there. What does that mean? Like, what could that possibly mean?
It could simply mean crossing the water now.
You walk through the water.
Right,
I don't know how deep it was. It's not clear how deep it was, but was it walkable? Would you go in, and does that kill the scent? I don't know. To me, that's the only thing that's been like close to a clue here, and it leads to nothing. Like, it literally leads to nothing. They checked initially. They looked in a local landfill, which was smart, just to do it, right? Because we've seen cases like Quentin Simon, little baby Quentin, who they checked the landfill, and I don't even want to talk about it, but you have to do that. You have to do that. But this isn't a case where, like, hey, there was a car seen in the area. We're looking for a silver whatever. We're not looking for any. We're looking for him, but we're not looking for any particular piece of evidence, and that's frustrating. Thank you, Melly. Court TV, yes. By the way, Al's on every Monday on Court TV on the show,
and I watch.
and Jonesy watches and texts us.
Speaking of being on the other side of the camera, there's a lot of armchair detectives in the world, obviously. I'm one of them. When I see a news story of a missing person, or somebody who was found dead, I will make judgments simply by watching like the first couple of press conferences of the people involved. And I, in my head, will tell friends of mine, I won't go on the air and say this, but I'll tell friends of mine, this person did it, or that person did it, or I'll be watching the news and I'll say, she did it. And that's like, I think like a lot of us play that, and it's a dangerous game because you can't accuse people who, are in despair and haven't done anything just because we want to be judgmental about it. But that's how I watch the news. I think that's how a lot of people watch the news. But I got to tell you, in most cases,
you're right.
I'm right. The only one I can think of
right.
that I was wrong
Exactly.
was the Atlanta bomber, and everybody was wrong on that one.
Richard Jewell. He,
right.
and
I had him convicted, man.
Oh, of course, everyone did, and they paid for it dearly in terms of.
Well, I didn't.
You didn't personally, but right, and making those snap judgments, you can look for, and investigators do this as well. You look for signs of deception. You look for things that don't add up. To me, the bottom line is, though, taking statements that are made and matching it up with things that are irrefutable, right? Like someone's story about something with a piece of evidence. Like the one thing that bothers me in the Madeline Soto case, right? She went missing, but then was found, and now it's a homicide investigation. The suspect is mom's boyfriend. But what about mom? Mom said she saw her getting dressed at 8 o'clock in the morning, yet Yet, before that, the boyfriend is seen throwing away her backpack and laptop in the dumpster.
Right.
And she says she sees her getting ready for school and then went off to be dropped off at school. Well, how is that possible? What child is not going to throw a tantrum about where's my backpack? Where is my laptop? I can't go to school without it. She was 13 years old. She's going to make some noise about it. So that, to me, that didn't add up with some of the irrefutable evidence that's on video.
In my case, it doesn't have to be irrefutable because I'm not a court of law. It's all in my head. I will sometimes come to this conclusion on what I judge to be bad acting. When somebody is trying to act a certain way and I see through it, that will make me point my finger at them.
Right. But what if you have someone like Al Wunsch, who is a child actor and is good at it?
Very deceptive.
And then he could fool you and you're thinking one thing when it's really the other thing.
It could happen.
And it's happened many times. So,
You're admitting that here now.
Well, I mean, look, let's face it.
Oh, Sir John A. McDonald was a Mason. Who's Sir John A. McDonald? Do we know? Thank you, Angel.
Well, he's a sir, so we should know him.
He invented McDonald's?
No.
Spelled the wrong way.
I'm only kidding.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who Sir John McDonald is, but
why did
Washington
they take away Ronald? Why did they take away Ronald
Jefferson was a
McDonald?
Mason.
Why did they take away all the characters?
Why what? Why what?
Why did they take away Ronald McDonald and all of the
Well,
characters?
this is like Passover, so you're asking the three questions. Why did they take away Ronald McDonald? Why do we eat unleavened bread
Yes,
on
they
this?
brought back the Hamburglar to an extent.
They brought back.
Wait a minute. Ronald McDonald is no longer a thing?
They got Grimace back. There's Grimace going on, and the Hamburger.
Well, they took him away for a long time.
Mayor McCheese.
Wow.
All of those characters. When's the last time you saw Mayor McCheese?
He got it. No, he was impeached.
He got reelected.
I don't. I'm in Georgia. It's all about Chick-fil-A. It's all about Chick-fil-A.
Hey, wasn't there a case in Georgia with like two sisters, like twin sisters, disappeared, like 14 years of age, and they've never been found?
No.
I mean, just horrific stuff. I mean, and Aisha Degree in North Carolina, Shelby, North Carolina. She was 9 years old. One of the things that I always find like so heart-wrenching and touching in the same way is when they do the aging process, so you see what they would look like today.
Right.
And then you just say, wow. We lost this person, and then if I'm the father or or a relative, I'm like, wow, that's what my daughter would have looked like, and if I could only see her now. It's very just.
They never give up hope, though. They don't give up hope. I've spoken to them. They don't give up hope. They really don't. Hey, Ellie Zavetta, people tell on themselves over and over, and that's what you were saying, Jonesy.
Yeah, you read people. You learn to read people.
All right, this is good. Y'all looking good.
Well, thank you.
You all is plural, Al. Well, so that will include all.
Is y'all plural? I've heard.
I think it just says "Yay, Al, looking good." That's what I'm looking at. It just Al's misspelled.
I've heard y'all used in the singular.
Oh yeah, it can be, but I think in this context,
I don't know.
I think it would be like y'all Al or y'all Jonesy looking good, but here it's y'all.
Well,
just y'all.
Sir John McDonald was the first Prime Minister of Canada. Wow. Now that wouldn't even beat me as the facts that I'm a bastion of useless facts, and that one I didn't even have. Now I do.
That goes back to the Freemasons, all of the presidents being Freemasons and all that kind of stuff. Right?
Well, the beginning was the founding fathers were, the Federalists were. I mean, all of them were involved with the Freemasons.
I have a quick question.
They had
Andrea sending green hearts. Is there any difference between a green heart and the red heart?
Well, St. Patrick's Day usually lasts like a month and a half. So,
okay. Okay, here we go. Lisa Simpson. What case is this? All right, time for a reset.
Lisa Simpson?
Lisa Simpson is actually here. So this is the story of Sebastian Rogers. And this is Sebastian Rogers, 15 years old, 2 months ago. I think it was February 26th, right? February 26th, was reported missing by his mother out of Hendricksville, Tennessee, which is close to Nashville. Beautiful town, beautiful home, beautiful subdivision, all of that. His mom said he went to his room around 9 or 10. She heard a thud at some point and told him to keep it down. Mom goes to sleep at about 12:30 that night. Her room is catty corner to his room in the home. Stepdad Chris is away at work. And then she goes to wake him up to get him ready for school around 6 a.m. and then reports him missing. So that's which case this is. Thank you, Lisa, for reminding us to remind everyone who's just joining us what this is all about.
Okay.
So,
and green is apparently Sebastian's favorite color.
Oh, okay. Bingo. Now we got it. Now we understand. Thank you.
So that
That's
was
awesome.
what I just saw that.
I knew there was significance to it. There'd have to be. And by the way,
Yes.
we have, when we're on this show with this group of viewers, I mean, they're smart, they're intuitive, and the comments are great. So I just wanted to lay that out there. Should I rub off my nose now?
Well, you know what?
They really are. They really are, and they're on top of it. Which is important.
You know,
we love the audience.
Talking about the horrific experience of the loved ones. I mean, nothing demonstrates that better than the Natalie Holloway story. And just to have been tortured by that scumbag that ended up killing her is just, I mean, it just absolutely is horrendous that people could be that evil, and then to get their hopes up and take money from them, and all in the name of just abusing, as if killing her was not enough, he had to abuse her family. It's just horrific. I don't understand human nature that would even allow something like that. But I mean, I look at that story and it just breaks my heart. And once again, it was a young, beautiful woman who was in the 18 years of age. Okay, a whole life ahead of her, destroyed by a scumbag, and then not enough to just kill her. Let me just ruin her family's life. Horrible, horrible. That's why I hope this boy is found, because it is just, I don't know how I would react under these circumstances. And it's funny, it's so easy to put yourself in other people's places until you're in that place. And then you don't know how you're going to react. And am I going to make it look like, am I going to be able to emote the proper type of emotion that doesn't lead me to be a suspect? Okay, I mean, you have to be so careful with the way you say things nowadays, because people like Jonesy are ready to throw
But what you need to do, though, and I think this is important, is to stay vocal and stay in the spotlight, because even if you're taking shots and hits, I'm in the media. I know the way these stories can dry up on the vine and can die, and stories can go cold, is when everyone starts to get quiet. You hear nothing from law enforcement. You hear nothing from the family. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Detroit-313, brown hearts for the color of Al's eyes.
Well, now that's beautiful. Thank you.
See, I found one for you.
Wait a minute. You can see Al's eyes on this screen and tell which color they are? That's fascinating. Let me see. Let me take a look.
Real big. There you go.
All right, quickly. What colors are my eyes? Hey, you're making fun of me. I saw that. Do you see him bulge one eye? Come on. What color are my eyes?
Bloodshot.
Bloodshot. You're right.
I think they're green. Aren't they green, Hazel? Hazel green?
Brown.
They are brown?
According to my driver's license.
Hazel brown, What
the hell is Hazel? Hazel's a maid. By the way, I love Hazel.
I watched Hazel.
All right, who do you prefer? The first Mr. What was his name? Mr.
Ed,
Huh? She had two different bosses.
really?
Hazel did?
Yeah, one guy left. Dom DeForest or whatever his name was.
Was there a divorce or something?
DeForest
Uh,
Kelly?
I don't know.
Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a busboy.
A younger guy came in and played the boss. His character was his brother. It may have been that the original actor got ill or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
love
Janice
Hazel.
Marie Coleman, search Sebastian home to Memphis. Home to Memphis. I guess talking about the scope of the search, right? The scope of the search. This is from Baby Firefly. Vinnie Politan, thank you for covering this and keeping Sebastian's name and face out there while the possibility of him being further from home exists. Yeah, it does exist. I think the range of where awareness needs to be is wider than Hendersonville, is wider than Nashville. It's been 2 months. We just don't know. We just don't know. By the way, over 3,000 watching live right now, which is great. For the 3,000, I would implore you all to, let me put it up on the screen right now. We're going to go big. You need to get a picture of Sebastian and share it on your social media. That's all. Find a picture. All you have to do is search Sebastian Rogers. You'll find a picture, online. Share it on your personal social media. 3,000 people share it all at once. An image of this missing child. More people are going to see his image. And if they see him, they will recognize him. They will say something. They will do something.
We're going back to Eton Pates, the one thing about that case, and it's kind of transcended forward, is that they become all of our kids, and that's the way we feel about them. That's they become personal to us, and that that is refreshing with regards to human nature, that people are going to take this picture seriously and going to look and keep their fingers crossed, and everyone says prayers at night for these families, that they will be reunited. And that really started with Eton Pates. And that, to me, and I know I'm being accused of being preachy, and that's usually not my style, but this hits home. I don't like to see these kind of stories. I'm fascinated by missing persons cases. That the first experience I had with regards to a missing person was the movie Tommy, where the father, the birth father, was allegedly killed in World War II. It turned out he wasn't, and he came home and he finds his wife with another man because he had married, and then they think he's an intruder and they kill him in front of their son. And I was like, wow, this is so bizarre that a missing person, comes back into your life, and then what happens at that point? So it always kind of fascinated me. So I started reading, and of course, if you're from New Jersey, the Jimmy Hoffa story is such a big story with regards to.
Yeah, that's different though. That's a different scenario. There's a
It
lot.
is a different scenario, but it's
scenario,
not,
but the fascination of the mystique of what happened
Right.
is huge.
And then even when you're like the Judge Crater story, like that just kind of blows your mind too, where a guy just a famous judge just disappears.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I mean, this guy was kind of shady also, but then even like with the Grand Duchess Anastasia, like these stories they fascinate me. I end up reading up on these things and taking a look.
Well, for me, the first one, a friend of mine I went to high school with and went to junior high school with, his sister, Lisa Ann O'Boyle, went missing. I don't know if you remember, this became a very big story. It was when Maury Povich had his original show. What was the big show he had? It was called back in the 80s, in the late 80s. It was
Yeah, no,
it was like a tabloid type of show. They used to call it a tabloid magazine show, Maury Povich's original show. Anyway, this became a story on it, and it was my friend's sister, and it was, I mean, the nicest family in the world, the O'Boyles. really great family, and the family had suffered so much tragedy to begin with. I don't want to get into the details there, but Lisa Ann went missing, and
A current
Cedar
affair.
Knoll,
A current affair.
a current affair. That's it, right? A current affair. And Lisa Ann went missing. She had been abducted at a mall in Morris County, New Jersey, and later was found, not alive, not alive. We've got Coca-Cola JK. Here we go. Cleo Smith, 4-year-old, took from a tent beside his mom and stepdad in Australia. Woke up, she was gone. Found a month later in a man's house not far from the home the parents said, and made worse because people blamed the parents in that case. That's 2021. Thank you, Coca-Cola JK.
To go off on a tangent, a current affair, I recall it as being quite trashy, no?
Well, I mean,
isn't that the show where the woman who accused one of the Kennedys of rape was confronted live in a bar with Polaroids of herself stripping or something to that effect?
I don't recall that exactly, but I do remember it was, they sort of labeled it as tabloid TV, but
right.
I don't know. I think all of TV could be, it depends on your perspective. And I'm not one who believes that, there are some who are journalists and there's others who aren't. We're all telling stories and covering them in different ways, in different manners. But yeah, I think they were labeled that way. I think you're correct, Jonesy. But that specific one, I don't remember. That sounds kind of wow.
Yeah, it was the I believe he was Australian, a very tall gentleman who also got a TV show about rich and the rich and famous mansions.
Oh, lifestyles.
Yes, that guy. If I'm not mistaken, it was he who confronted her.
What was his name? I can't believe I forgot his name. These are like things that
and it was a case that Court TV had covered because one of the Kennedy descendants, I believe, was accused of some sort of sexual charge.
Interesting. Are you talking about not when the Kennedy not the trial down in Florida with the blue dot? William Kennedy Smith?
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, okay. All right, I believe it. Danielle, Beth Holloway, Matthew Holloway.
Yep. As I said, you think back to those cases, and then just to put salt in the wounds by just torturing the parents after that. Horrendous.
Michelle L. Vinny, I'm Sicilian and talk with my hands. Mafia maybe, but definitely not Illuminati. And she says, "Hi, Al."
Greetings. Thank you, Michelle.
Michelle.
My grandfather was Sicilian.
Am I an Illuminati? I don't know. Maybe not. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think it's possible. Daisy Boo. Thank you, Daisy Boo. Great to have you aboard today.
Daisy Boo.
Hey. We're getting close to that time, people. I know we're over 3,100, and we're gonna have to say goodbye soon.
We got to end this one with a take tank, if you ask me, man. We need a laugh.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But again, I'd implore all 3,000 of you watching right now to make sure you share Sebastian's image from wherever. You can share this show if you want. You don't have to. You can share it from anywhere online. But you share his image, his story, because I think the places where we need to look, the places where people need to be aware is far beyond the immediate area where Sebastian disappeared from. I just think so. I just think that's where we need to be at this moment, at this time. Absolutely. I'll get a couple more comments in here, as I don't want to shortchange our viewers here. Okay, and Catalyst, I think, is a good point here. I'm a green, hazel-eyed dude, variable depending upon the weather, and shared it already. Thank you so much, Catalyst.
Is he seeking like long walks on the beach or something?
Is what that? What?
I'm trying to figure out, is this fellow seeking long walks on the beach? Is he describing himself?
No, we were talking about your eyes, and we were debating whether they were brown or
That sounds like
hazel.
a personal ad, though.
No.
I'm not making fun of Catalyst. I like Catalyst. Some of my best friends are Catalysts.
Yeah, exactly. And Catalyst is a loyal viewer of the program. Loyal.
Yeah. Jeez. What if anyone's going to attack my knowledge of Oklahoma today? That's what I'm looking for.
And by the way, flyers being handed out in Maryland. Okay, there you go. So people are spreading the word, the image, because you really don't know.
We're friends in the North, where John McDonald was the first prime minister. We learned that today.
We
That's
learned
good.
maybe
Knowledge
that's
is
the way
power.
we should wrap up the show every week is with what we've learned.
That's always a good idea. But I was never very good with regards to class or learning or actually showing up.
You have you have quite a bit of class, Al.
Thank you. Call me when you have no class.
I, however, have no principles. I can't even think of a word that rhymes.
No.
Can you remember your principal's name?
Onimbo.
Who?
Of course I remember my principal's name. My principal's name was Father Jeffcoat. Okay. And Father Jeffcoat was a Canadian Indian. Okay, from the 5 tribes. All right. And he had this wonderful thing called the tomahawk chop that he would do to punish you, which was he would line you up where your head was against the wall, and he would hit you like this on the forehead. Your head would go back, hit the wall, and then come back and hit the fist.
Wow.
Okay. and that was perfectly permissible. And then I would go home crying about the fact that I'd been, attacked by
Dad would hit you.
And then my father, the lumberjack, would beat me up even more for getting the priest mad. So this was the life I led.
We have some breaking news from Tiki. Vinny has pretty blue eyes.
No, see, and notice he found that one.
Hey, Al, you had a dad?
Yeah.
Wow. What was it like?
Well, my dad died young, though. So, I mean, I was 16 when my father passed away. But I did have a father for 16 years.
Wow.
So,
Vinny has pretty blue eyes.
Nice.
Yeah, Vinny has pretty blue. Yeah, very, very nice. Thank you, Diana Ross. Okay.
Hey, she's coming to Englewood.
Don't think I have.
Diana Ross did not have blue eyes.
No, but I'm talking about the Vinny and the Tangents.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the name of the show.
As opposed to, the situation with Diana Ross and the Supremes.
Well, why can't you
It always used to be called the Supremes. Okay. Then all of a sudden it became Diana Ross and the Supremes.
Look what you guys did from Cripley. Vinny, don't particularly like these guests. We'll unsubscribe.
Wow.
We lost a viewer because of Al and Jonesy.
Sorry about that, Chief.
Good riddance.
No, we are going to work. We are going to work to get Cripley back.
Not me.
No.
Good riddance.
We have to work to get Cripley back.
Well, Cripley, maybe you don't understand what we're trying to do here. We're trying to do something a little different than you see Vinny normally do, which is fantastic on this channel. But we do a thing called the Tangent, where we talk about the main topic, but we try to have a little bit of leeway in talking about other things like pop culture and such.
Yeah. Hey, Cripley, believe it or not, I don't care. Okay.
Hit the like on your way back.
Okay,
here's the question we need. I think Jonesy explained it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just
it. For Jesus, the tribulation is coming says, is this Vinny show or the other guys? Okay, so this is our show. It's been deemed, it's the Tangent Podcast, but many people refer to it as Vinny and the Tangents. Whichever way you want to name it.
Yeah, many people. Okay. There
were a bunch of people who said it, so I put that up there.
Hey, Cripley, we're only with you an hour a week, and then you've got Vinny to yourself all week long. So,
stop bringing him up, please. Okay.
It's interesting that you say that, Al, because my approach in broadcasting has always been when somebody criticizes, I'm like, see ya. But here I am finding myself, I guess, being a little phony and trying to say, come back. Come back.
we have so many wonderful people that we deal with every day on this show that, as far as I'm concerned, I don't need crippling. Believe it or not,
Well, yeah,
I don't care.
I
You
have
know?
a different approach, but
Well, I know you do. Of course you do it, and I do appreciate that. But what I'm trying to say is this. Okay, we got Melly, we got Jen, we got such wonderful people here, and we got Lindsay Shay's saying wonderful things. This is what I want. Okay, I don't need crippling. All right, he wants to be a negative Nelly. Okay, that's fine.
See, this is Cripply. This is the Jersey way. It's like, no, no, no. You're not breaking up with me. I'm breaking up with you.
Yeah, and sentences with the word if in. If and use guys don't understand what we're trying to do here. And stray, okay?
Like you're like Damon Runyon.
big shout out always to Gen X and Frankie Figs. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Melly. Thank you, everyone. Please, I am not giving up hope. We should not give up hope. There is no evidence of foul play, and until there is something that leads us to worst case scenario, I will continue to keep that hope because there are stories, there are cases, and that's the bottom line here. The bottom line. So I actually have to go for more than one reason. You may have seen me eating some of these little glucose.
Edibles.
No, this is glucose because I know I am type 1 diabetic, and my blood sugar was just dipping a little bit because it's a little late in the afternoon. And by the way, I should have had something, but I didn't. But I'm planning on having some lunch right after this and before my big meeting. So,
and we're all invited to Vinny's house for lunch. So everyone, let's get in the car and head down there.
Head on down.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why.
Doing it for everyone.
Yeah, that's why I've been speaking a little less than normal.
Yeah.
Or have I? Have I been making less sense? I don't know. All I know is that it is crashing right now, my blood sugar. Love from South Africa from Hush Pup. Thank you so much, Hush Pup.
Thank you. Hush
Great
Pup.
wine in South Africa. Great
Really?
South African wines, which I was only
Interesting.
used to be able to get up in Canada. And then thank God we were able to buy them now in the United States. Phenomenal wines.
Thank goodness, right? All right. Well, anyway, that is it. You can watch me every night, 8 to 10. Obviously, tonight, Seth Rogers is scheduled, I believe. I don't know. I find out if there's been any changes. I believe to be with us tonight on the program. Appreciate that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this edition of the Tangent Podcast, aka Vinny and the Tangents. Yeah, look at the face. Look at the face, right? Look at the face. Please, can you say goodbye, Jonesy?
Keep hope alive. Goodbye, Jonesy.